I did it. I actually did it. I am so happy to say that 2 days ago, I actually beat the hardest boss I have ever fought in any game ever. And that is, big spoiler warning by the way, if you haven't played Elden Ring, the DLC, and you want to, go through it on your own, I'm going to spoil the whole goddamn thing today. The boss that I beat is Radahn and Miquella. Oh my god. The absolute hardest boss I have ever fought ever in any game. I thought Pantheon 5 in Hollow Knight would be the hardest feat ever, because the 5th Pantheon in Hollow Knight, you have to kill all 42 bosses in a row without dying, or else you have to restart the whole thing from the very beginning, which is unbelievably annoying because it's like a 30-minute thing to get through all 42 bosses. Oh my god, so annoying. I actually haven't beaten it yet. I can get through the first 41 bosses every single time. The 42nd is always what gets me, caught up. So once I figure out that 42nd boss, hey, I'll get it over with, and it won't take me nearly as many attempts as the final DLC boss in Elden Ring did. 520 attempts is what it took me to finally beat Radahn and Miquella at the end of the Elden Ring DLC. And I wanted to give a little DLC review because after I beat the Elden Ring DLC, everything, like that final boss, everything just felt so much easier after that fact. Literally everything. I went and I fought, I'm trying to remember the names, I fought Midra. I beat Midra in 6 attempts, easy boss. I beat the Mother of Fingers. I basically killed literally every single Remembrance boss except for Bale the Dread, because it was 4 a.m. at that point, and I was like, you know what, I want to go to sleep. I fought Bale for 20 minutes. I was like, okay, I'm done here. But Bale obviously wouldn't take me nearly as many attempts as Radahn did. I fought the Mother of Fingers, Midra, Commander Gaius. That didn't take long. The Putrescent Knight, that wasn't that hard either. Like, every boss was so fucking easy in comparison to the final Elden Ring boss. And as always, I streamed the entire thing on Twitch, so I'll play my final run, the run where I actually beat the boss. I'll play that right now. I don't have a favorite dinosaur. I don't even know what that is. You have a favorite drink? Yes, it's water. I was about to say, there's no way he doesn't get staggered there. So many attacks. There's just no fucking way, bro. Hide in the cock, and you're safe. I won. I killed him. Let's go. Oh my god. That feels really good. And if you've never played Elden Ring before, or if you've never gotten to that final boss yet, you may be looking at that and think, wow, that looks really easy. And it does. It does look really easy. Every single winning attempt always makes the game look super easy, but it is so goddamn hard. So that boss, the first phase, I'm not going to lie, the first phase is pretty easy. You know, it's pretty easy to memorize all his attacks and when to dodge and all that. Like, that's super easy, right? But the second phase is so much more difficult because he swings his sword. And so if he swings his sword from the right to the left, then right after he swings his sword, light is going to come down from the ground, light that damages you, and it's going to come from the right to the left. If he swings in the middle, light's going to spawn in the middle. Sometimes he'll do a downwards attack, and he'll have his sword in the ground, and then he'll lift it up, and a bunch of light will summon all around him. You need to dodge all of that. And it's a really hard fight because you have to move around the boss the entire time because he's constantly summoning light. He does so many different moves. There's one move that you didn't see in that final, where I killed the boss, which I'm really upset about. But he has one move where, and I know how to dodge it, so I really wish he did that. So, I could show that move off in that final thing when I killed that boss. But he does this one move where he goes up in the air after summoning a bunch of meteors towards you. He goes up in the air, and he has 4 fake versions of him come down. They go, 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th one is the real Radahn, and then he summons light right in front of him after that, and then he lifts up from the ground, and then light summons all around him. But you have to be towards him when light summons all around him, because how the light... I know I'm going into a fucking super deep rant here. Hey, you wanted to watch this video, okay? So basically how that light attack works is the light starts where he is, and then it slowly fills up the area around him. So if you want to do the exact same timing as when he takes the swords out of the ground, you have to be right next to him. Because basically how it is he's in the middle, the light summons right on him, then it summons a second later away from him, then away from him, then away from him. It's hard. It's fucking hard. So basically when he does that attack, he goes 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is real. You have to dodge the 5th one. You can tank the first 4. You dodge to the right, and then when he pulls his little things up, you dodge towards him because the light it's ridiculous. And then he has that one attack that you saw. Thankfully that one was in the video that you just saw, where he does this little dance. He goes 1 2 1 2 1, and then he goes up in the air, and then he hits the ground, and the light comes. It's so fucking ridiculous. He has so many attacks. It's crazy to memorize them all. It's crazy to memorize, where the light's gonna come in. It's just an unbelievably difficult fight, the hardest fight ever. I actually went back and I did an attempt on Malenia after I killed Radahn. Malenia is so easy. Like, in comparison to Radahn, Malenia is so easy. It's actually insane. She does have one hard move. Malenia only has one hard move, and that's the waterfowl dance. And the waterfowl dance, once you understand it, you got it. Which I guess is the same with everything in Elden Ring. Once you understand the moves, you got it. But in comparison to Radahn, Radahn has so many difficult moves. So many hard moves to dodge, right? Whereas Malenia has one hard move. The others are pretty easy to remember, right? But Malenia has that one hard move. And Malenia, every time she attacks you, she heals. So that's pretty crazy too. But Radahn just has so many attacks that are fucking hard to dodge. There's one attack that he does that I actually never learned how to dodge. And that's when he swings his right sword, then immediately swings his left one. Actually, I think it's the opposite. I think he swings his left and immediately swings his right. And then he does an attack in the middle, and that one's really easy. But I don't know how you dodge that. I'm sure there is a way, but I never figured it out in my whole run. So every time that happened, I would get lucky on dodging it. Like, his sword just wouldn't reach me. I would be all the way behind him, and his sword wouldn't reach me. Or I just would tank the hit every single time, because that attack is just impossible to dodge for me. But yeah, overall, bro, like, now that I'm done with the DLC, I don't think I'll come back to it. Maybe I'll come back just to kill Bale, but I mean, I've seen everything the DLC has to offer, basically. Dude, it's a fucking 10 out of 10. Like, I absolutely loved it. A lot of people were saying that Radahn fight is bad, it's dog shit. I actually think that's an S tier fight, honestly. And the reason that I think it is an S tier fight, yeah, it's hard. It's a really difficult fight. Some people are complaining that you can't see anything, but I don't know, bro. Like, the attacks that you can't see what's going on are the same attacks that he does in Phase 1. He has Phase 1 attacks that he pretty much carries over into Phase 2. And if you remember the timing in Phase 1, you don't necessarily need to see everything that's going on in Phase 2 because of his big fucking Nicola's lock of hair that's blocking his attacks. You don't necessarily need to see all of it because it's the same as Phase 1. If you remember the timing in Phase 1, you can do the same thing in Phase 2. So the reason I think that his fight is an S tier fight is because he's humanoid, right? Like, he's a person. He's not this massive fucking dragon where you can't see anything. He's not like Commander Gaius with this big bullshit hitbox. He's a human, fight. And I love fights like that. I think they're the most fun. My favorite fights in all of Elden Ring, and I am going to contradict myself here in a minute, Dragon Lord Placidusax is one, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that fight, whereas I do think there's something wrong with Commander Gaius because he has the worst fucking hitbox I've ever seen in my entire life. To be fair, you can dodge that hitbox if you get on your horse, because you can get on your horse in that fight. So you can get on your horse and dodge that hitbox, but it's just a bullshit hitbox, right? So I think that boss is fucking horrible because of that. And there's a bunch of bosses that I just thought were trash because they're just so big and you can't see anything. I think Midra is a good boss because Midra, you can actually see what the hell is going on in the game, right? What are other bosses? I think Rykard is a really good boss. While he is big, the arena is massive and the weapon is perfect for the fight, right? If Rykard's fight was not the gimmick weapon and it was just your regular weapon, that would be a dog shit fight because you wouldn't be able to fucking see anything. But FromSoft understood that that's a big boss, a big arena, and he does a lot of crazy attacks. Let's give you a big weapon where you can hit from a long distance and see what's going on. So I really love that fight. I think that's one of the best fights in the game. The atmosphere is incredible. The attacks are cool. It's just a super cool fight in general. Dragon Lord Placidusax. Godfrey is another one of my favorite fights because he's humanoid. He's not way bigger than you. You can see everything that's going on. Radahn is the same way. Another boss that I thought was the greatest boss in the entire game is the DLC boss Messmer. I really love that fight. That fight took me the second longest I've ever had against a boss. So the longest is obviously Radahn with 520 attempts, and then the second was Messmer. Messmer took me 206 attempts. So Messmer was a really hard fight. Radahn was a really hard fight. Yeah, I think my favorite bosses in the whole game: Placidusax, Radahn, Godfrey, Messmer, Rykard. Trying to think what else. I guess Margit. Margit's a pretty cool fight. It's, your intro into the game. It's a really hard fight for being the first one. There's a lot of cool fights in the game. There's a lot of fights I thought were fucking horrible too. Like, what's a fight? Yeah, Commander Gaius. That's a dog shit fight. What's another dog shit fight? I don't know, bro. But ultimately, I thought it was really fun. I had a really great time playing the game. I think it's a 10 out of 10, even with the DLC. The DLC was a 10. I thought it was super fun. It scratches that itch for more Elden Ring content, and it goes above and beyond. I saw people saying that there's 40 bosses in the DLC. So there's 165 bosses in the base game. There's 40 bosses in the DLC. That's ridiculous. Like, that is so much content. And they're such a fucking good developer. Like, I could praise them for an hour, honestly. $60 for the base game, $40 for the DLC, so $100 for hundreds of hours of content. Call of Duty should take notes. There's a billion game studios that should take notes. Ubisoft, like, the list goes on and on. FromSoft is just incredible. No microtransactions, just straight up content. And I honestly just respect that because they could go pivot into fucking doing microtransactions and shit, and they would make a lot of money doing it, but they don't. And that's super respectful in my eyes. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. I just want to talk about this insane boss and how it was the hardest boss I've ever fought in the game. And I really love the DLC. And yeah, that's it. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.